Okay, how are you guys doing? So today we are going over zones of regulation, and we are going to talk about them. I know we did them last year, but we're going to try this again. So I know y'all know that there are 4, and they are the blue zone, which is used to describe the state of feeling sad, tired, bored, sick, when your brain hurts, when you feel sluggish. And then we have the green zone. Green zone is used to describe the alertness. So this is when you feel happy and you're calm, you're focused on your work. You continue to stay in that green zone. And so that's when you know everything's on point and you can just keep going. You might need to get some drinks of water or stretch. And then we have the yellow zone. Yellow is the heightened state of alertness. And usually we're starting to feel that frustration, and we can see it on our face, like, you can have anxiety. Sometimes you get overexcited, and the more excited you get, you can go a little too far. So we don't want to get too excited. And we get silly, and sometimes silly goes overboard, and I get it. Yellow is also nervous, and so like when the teacher calls on you, sometimes we get nervous and we just like shut down, and so that's yellow zone. Confusion can be a yellow zone also. So it's just one of those states where you're more elevated in emotions. You're not calm, cool, and collected and focused. You're starting to rise up, and you're going to need to do some of your tools to bring yourself back down to that green zone. And then if we can't pull ourselves back down to the green zone, then we wound up going to the red zone. And I know we remember the red zone. Red zone is when we feel a very intense feeling. And so it's usually that anger or rage, explosive behavior. Sometimes it can be panic and terror. Sometimes it's just we are so excited. I've seen like my little nephew, he gets so excited and he's just jumping up and down and screaming, and he's like, yay! And he winds up whopping his brother, and his brother's 2, and he knocks him flat down because he just got too excited and he was too physically aggressive. And so he went from that yellow being excited to being physically acting out, and he just knocked his brother down. And it wasn't because he was mad and angry, it's just he was too excited. So it's that heightened intense feeling is what red is. And so we're going to kind of go over a couple of the zones, look at some faces, and I know we remember looking at this from last year. I am going to try and share my screen. Is it going to work? No. Okay, so let's see if it'll let me share my screen now. No. Well, okay, so we'll just hold it up since it's not letting us. So in the zones, we have the blue zone, and we can see blue, he's very tired, sick, bored, moving slow. Sometimes if we don't get enough sleep, we can be in that blue zone. Wake up in the morning, we stayed up way too late at school, which sets us up to have a bad day. So we need to make sure we're going to bed at a decent hour, okay? So what I tell my niece, well, I have like 22 nieces and nephews, but what I've told them when they're in school is, if the sun goes down, you need to be in bed. Now, the summer, as the days start getting longer, the sun may be up till 10 o'clock, and I tell them, you're in school. You need to be in bed before the sun sets. So you need to decide what is a good amount of time for you. Like, if you're a person who you sleep 10 hours, then you need to be like, okay, I need to wake up at this time and count backwards 10 hours. I'm like, so I need to be in bed at such and such time. I personally go to bed between 7:30 and 8. So I help get nieces and nephews to bed at 7, get them in the shower, they eat at 6, get them in the shower, get them in night clothes, brush teeth, read 3 books to them, and then they're in bed by 7, and then they're usually asleep by 7:30, and then I start my night routine, and then I am out. And I don't wake up until 5 or 5:30. So you're going to have to decide what is good for you. So you may have to start thinking, and maybe keep a daily journal, like, this is the amount of time I'm sleeping. If we get enough sleep, a lot of times it starts off good. So we have that green day, and green is happy, calm, everything feels good, you're focused, and you are ready to learn. And with virtual learning, it's very important. You're at home, and so sometimes being at home is harder to be focused on learning, because you're like, I'm at home. I should be able to do, playing with my toys or whatever. So we have these extra distractions. So it's important that we get that plenty of sleep so that we can start our day off green. And sometimes, and it just happens, it's just we wake up on the wrong side of the bed and it's not a good day. So we have to do some extra self-care to get ourselves back in that green zone. So we may need to drink extra water, or think like, make sure you eat breakfast, because they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. When you're at school or in class, if you're on green, then you want to keep doing those practice your breathing. You want to remember to stay focused. If you have questions, raise your hand. Don't get frustrated. We all wind up getting frustrated, but we need to use those tools. So we may start moving to that yellow, which is frustrated, worried, a little silly and wiggly, excited, or we may lose some control. And so if you are starting to get silly and wiggly, do you have to keep sitting there? No, you can stand up, right? You don't have to sit all day. Do we want to lay down on our bed? No, because then we're going to get tired and we're going to go straight to the blue zone, and we're going to be like, and out, right? So we may need to stand up and move. You may need to actually just move all together locations. And so then I put like a standing desk. Or you may need to move to the kitchen table so that you have accountability, because mom, dad, grandma, tia, somebody is there to watch you. So you want to move yourself so that you're focused and able to focus if you're a little silly and wiggly. Then, say you're just getting frustrated because you've heard the teacher teach the lesson and now it's time to do the work, but you didn't get it, right? So do you just get upset and like, and just start ripping the paper? No, not at all. Okay, so what can you do? You can ask for help, right? And is it harder in Zoom to ask for help? It is, because we have the lesson and then y'all get off and y'all do the asynchronous, so you do the seesaw lessons. So it's a little bit difficult. Remember, I've sent y'all a check-in Google form. You fill that out and it says, I'm needing help in reading or math or science, whatever it is. And if I'm not your case manager, the one working with you, then I'm like, hey, Miss Benson Gonzalez, or Miss Gonzalez, or Miss Smith, or Mr. Hanrahan, whoever. And I chat with them. I'm like, hey, they're saying they're needing a little bit of help. And so then you can, the next day when you're in the Zoom class, you can ask them, and they will put you in a breakout room Or you can wait till we're having the Zoom lesson like this. And then at the end of the Zoom, I'm like, hey, what can I help y'all with? At the end of the Zoom, we can get on and we can look at your Google Classroom or your Seesaw, and we can work through whatever's frustrating you. Because I don't want you to be frustrated. And I know your teachers don't want you to be frustrated. Also remember, take a breath. Breathe in and out. Remember, my favorite is the pretzel. Cross the legs, tuck under, press the tongue to the top of your mouth. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and you do that 5 times. And then when you breathe in, you hold for 3 seconds and then slowly let it out. So here we go. Ready? Like that. You can also do the rainbow breathing, remember? You can do the smell the flower, blow out the candle. So you pretend you have a flower. Smell the flower. Blow out a candle, right? I kind of like that one, but if I do the smell the flower, blow out the candle, I usually actually want to smell some kind of perfume or oil. And so like I have a lavender, and lavender is supposed to be calming. So sometimes I'll break out my lavender oil and I'll put it on a cotton ball and I'll smell that. And then I'll blow. So everybody has different things. And in class with me, we have the sensory balls, the things that you can stretch, just to kind of get some of that movement out. Play-Doh. And I don't know what you have at home. So one of the things that normally you can find, and this is going to make a lot of noise, is a water bottle. And so you can just squeeze on the water bottle as long as you don't have sound on, because obviously it's loud. But that gives you something else and it moves, okay? Then next we have the red zone. Now that it is my hope that this year none of us make it to the red zone. Red zone is where you're mad, you're angry, you're terrified. You might start yelling or hitting. And I know y'all don't do that at home, right? You may just be elated, like overjoyed, and you can't contain yourself. Like my example with Paxton hitting Payson, because he's just yay, and he starts jumping and screaming and knocks his brother down. Then his poor brother's bonked his head on the floor. But so that red is just you're out of control, and you can't just calm yourself down. So you're going to actually have to take a break. You're going to have to step back and say, I've lost it. And sometimes that's hard. Sometimes somebody else says it for us, like our mom and dad, like, you need to stop, right? At school, I'm like, hey, come with me. Let's go to the chill zone. Take a 5-minute break. We'll reset, right? So at home, where do you reset? Like I'm taking a 3-minute break or I'm taking a 5-minute break. So if you're taking a 3-minute break or a 5-minute break, where do you do that? So me personally, if I'm taking a 3-minute or 5-minute break, there is a chair in the living room. It's not the most comfortable, but I can sit crisscross applesauce, and then I can put my hand on my head and hold my head. Because sometimes when you're frustrated, you just want that, right? Okay. So then I sit crisscross applesauce, have my hand on my head, and I have a timer, and then I'm breathing. Well, then the more I breathe, I start feeling better. So then I go from being to, oh, I feel better. And then usually after about 2 minutes, I'm usually ready to get back to it, unless it's been just one of those days. And we have those days where something happens and then you get back on track and then something else happens and you start to lose it again. And so we have those days, especially with virtual learning, because it's not a normal schedule like what we're used to from our previous school years. So we're coming up with a new normal, right? So it's just what is going to work. Remember, drink plenty of water. Water helps. Helps us think more clearly. make sure you're eating a good breakfast before Zoom. You eat lunch. If teacher says, hey, it's snack time, and you're like, so if you start feeling a little and it's snack time, go eat something, because we don't want you to get hangry, right? So those are our zones. And let's see, well, let me share again. No, it still won't let me share. So let me just print it. It's not going to let me print either. Okay. And when things happen, we come up with something else. So the blues, the zones are kind of like the road signs, right? And so road signs, if we are driving, like if you go on a trip, if you see a blue sign, those are usually recreational areas, right? So a blue zone is like, hey, there's a rest stop ahead, or hey, you can so many miles and you can pull off, and so those are the blue zone, rest zone. It's kind of like, I'm tired, I'm not feeling good, I'm feeling a little sluggish, and so that's the blue zone. And then green is go. And so anytime you're like, green is go, you think of the big green traffic light where it has the red, yellow, and green, right? And green is go. You're golden. You're on it. Everything is good. And then yellow, well, in traffic signs, it's that yield symbol. Let's see if I can, and I'm terrible at drawing, so, and I don't have a yellow marker, because remember, my schedule does not care for yellow. It makes me feel sick. So the yield sign is, I don't know, some sort of like that, and it says yield. I can't write backwards. Y-E, yield. Okay, so you have the yield sign, and that means, hey, slow down. So a lot of times on curves, there's the yield sign, or when you're exiting off of the freeway or the loop onto the on the ramp onto the road beside there, it'll say, hey, slow down. It's a yield, so you're slow and your yield, they're yellow. And so those are just to remind you, hey, take a breath, breathe, don't get in a rush. If you get in a rush in real life in driving, you can get in an accident. But so every day here, we just remember, we're getting a little yellow, take a break, breathe. If we hit red, red is that stop sign. And that just means we don't need to keep pushing through. The frustration is too high. We need to stop and say, okay, what's bothering me? Where do I need to go back and fix it? Do I need to go and get help? Do I need to ask my teacher for help? Our teacher can help us. Do I need to ask another student? Do I just need to personally step back and take a break and take a breather? Is it maybe I do need a drink of water? Just getting up, walking to the kitchen, getting a glass of water, taking a drink, clearing my mind, going, okay, let's look at this question again. Whatever it is that's caused you to get upset, so you just look at it again and then readdress it. If you keep pushing past, like on a stop sign in real life, if you're driving past a stop sign, there's going to be a cop there and you're going to get pulled over, wind up getting a ticket, and it, to be honest, is not worth it. I don't have the money to pay traffic tickets. So that's like here at school, if we're in that red zone and we don't stop and we just keep going, something's going to happen. Like we're in Zoom, so your parents will be like, hey, what's going on? You may need, your teacher may be like, hey, you are rolling all over the floor, and they like move you to a breakout room so you can not be distracting others. So there's all different ways. And you may be the one that says, hey, I just need a break. I've got to step away. I'm about to lose my cool, right? So we want you to think of in everyday life when you're riding around in a car with your parent or aunt or uncle, whoever you go, think of those signs that you see. The green signs are like the road signs, this street, that street, and you just stay on track. And so you're following those signs and it's all good. You see the yellow sign, the yield or rest stop ahead. Those are your frustration. Take a breath, calm down. You get to a stop sign and you have to remember, hey, stops means I need to stop. I need to take a break. I need to think, what's bothering me? How can I fix it? And we'll go over those steps. We did them last year, but we'll go over the 5 steps again. That'll be later on. But there's steps when you are already in that red. What do you do? And we'll go over those. And then if you're in the blue zone, remember, you still may need to get a drink, go to bed earlier. If you're feeling sick, tell your parent you may need some cough medicine. With the hurricanes blowing in, I know people said that their allergies are getting worse. Mine are getting worse, but I think the pollen count is higher. So there's just different things that can affect how we feel. And so tell your parent, hey, I am not feeling perfect today. I have a headache, or my face hurts, or my tooth hurts. Whatever it is, my stomach. So whatever it is, so a lot of times if your stomach's hurting, you just need to get a drink of water and you need to do some toe touches. Sometimes that'll help, okay? So I want y'all this week, we're working on staying in the green zone. And I know Zoom, some of the lessons are really long and some of them are really short. But in those lessons, we're going to try and stay on green. We're going to stay focused, listen to the teacher, sitting at the computer, eyes at the computer, not on our bed, not rolling around on the floor, not drinking, not showing people things, right? Because that's distracting. So we're going to work on being a good citizen. If our teacher says unmute, then we can unmute and talk. Otherwise, we want to stay muted. That way we don't distract everyone else, okay? So I look forward to seeing y'all in our next lesson. And y'all have an amazing, amazing day and a wonderful week.